Hello, everybody. You got your boy D Cott here and JB running the show today for the Cross Time podcast. Brandon's not with us. Isaiah's not with us, so it's the 2 degrees right now. Me and my guy, we're gonna get some things going here and see if we can talk some good sports today, right?
Well,
So
that
how you
kind
doing
of
today, JB?
I'm doing all right, man. At 2 degrees, that kind of fits the description of the Indianapolis weather term in the last 2 days. As you know, what I'm saying a couple days ago, I felt like it was 60, and now we got what I'm saying just a little bit of frost on the ground, man. But other than that, doing just fine, man. That's just an Indiana thing, man. Snow today, 7 degrees tomorrow. But other than that,
Yeah.
man, doing wonderful.
Yeah, man, all good, man. I looked out the window and I saw the dust up of the snow after I took my little nap. I'm like, man, I'm glad I'm not driving into work tomorrow. It's gonna be a cold, slow drive tomorrow.
Yep. I
Hey,
gotta make that cold slow drive, so it's all good.
so hey, let's dive into it. You know what we've been chatting about in the chat group, man. Talk to me about Saturday. What hit you, and we can pivot.
Well, just an all day. Not just going back to even going back to Friday, man. We had football, but like all day Saturday, what I'm saying it bleeds into all day today because you have to deal with the ramifications of Saturday and what that means. Particularly at this point for your season, if you're a college football team,
Yeah,
a lot of teams, as people kind of follow this show, have jettisoned on their coach. Some teams have kind of strangely, at least in these waters, have wrapped their arms around their coach. If you think about some of the news, I thought it was National Enquirer type of information when they said Luke Fickle was coming back to Wisconsin. I thought that's what, and it's not to disrespect Luke Fickle. Is that unfortunately his time and tenure there has not necessarily, been the standard for Wisconsin football.
yeah,
So terrible season this year, but technically had a bad season last year. So again, it's kind of like strange, but it's not. Guys, that's like it's not strange. Some of these schools are not set up to be like NFL that we can just go ahead and blast away a coach like that.
right.
Wisconsin at one point was it a blue blood? Probably not. It's
Close, close.
close, close because they're kind of there nipping. You know what I'm saying? If they didn't beat Ohio State, they beat Michigan. You know what I'm saying? As it pertains to the Big Ten and whatnot. But it's just kind of weird. They're not weird. It's not weird. I understand the logic around why some of these schools want to hold on because they're not like I said. Until it is a definite parody of the NFL. College football is not set up to just send jettison coaches away based upon like how contracts are set up. With contract buyouts and based upon how they have whatever money, other money. Or excuse me. Yeah, whatever money. Basically a booster money support they have kind of coming through the school.
Yeah.
Um, so like no, those are kind of some of the things. Of course, some of the games, the games as well. Were this is a championship, another championship weekend. If you in the SEC, I would say the ACC man didn't do themselves no kind of favors. Um, like no man, just some great college. I mean, like I said, whatever game you want to kind of break down, man, did some great college football from SEC, Big Ten, for sure, and the ACC all around.
I want to hit back to Wisconsin, right? Like you were talking about. I was sharing a little bit, a couple of days ago. I said the standard of Wisconsin was 9-3, 2-2, big bowl game, never, really a
Mhm.
real national title contender, but big wins, right? Like you said, you're either going to beat Ohio State or you're going to beat Michigan, or if you don't beat one of them, you're going to beat everybody else, right?
Yep.
Is now has the bar been set a little lower now? So are we talking now a good year for Wisconsin in this NIL world, right? NIL world, transfer portal world. Are
Mhm.
are the expectations now a good season 7-5? Is that what Luke Fickle is shooting for?
Um, no, I don't I don't necessarily have without being around it 100%. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily have the answer for a school in position like Wisconsin.
Right.
They're, I know we kind of jokingly kind of say, man, with, Nebraska or some of these other teams that kind of historically disattach themselves to the Big Ten, maybe in the last 10 years, they don't necessarily, yes, it's a power name, but it doesn't fit. Wisconsin fits.
Right.
They just kind of are losing out right now because of everybody pulling talent. You know what I'm saying? If Nebraska got money and Iowa got money, and Illinois got money. But damn, I just said the three schools that probably Wisconsin got they that's where they got their guys. That's where they kind of get their guys from too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So NIL kind of spread it out for them. It's probably kind of hurting them. Plus, before we kind of you talk about expectations. There, I don't know, man. There has to be some disappointment with
Right.
Luke Fickell kind of coming over from Cincinnati and him being the part of the food chain that was Ohio State. But if you don't have Ohio State money and you
Right.
don't have some of to be honest, Luke got, I won't say lucky, but he got very fortunate when you have a Sauce Gardner, when you have a Alec Pierce. You know what I'm saying? When you have who else? He had another pro quarterback.
The quarterback, Ritter, Desmond Ritter.
You know what I'm saying? So he had a real good recruiting class. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? He hasn't had that in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
When you pontificate on who's, recruiting class we talking about, in the offseason, we went crazy over Wisconsin. I'm talking about like Notre Dame. I'm talking about
Right.
like-minded teams that
Right.
Wisconsin kind of pulled from. You know what I'm saying? We went crazy over them. Even Nebraska had better recruiting than
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it kind of comes down to that, and there's only so much, not disrespectfully saying, there's only so much player development you're gonna kind of get. And when you're a Wisconsin, you can't hide. I know terrible, like Cincinnati did
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Cincinnati that year, correct me wrong, beat Laser. They went into Notre Dame, beat Notre Dame. That's when they became the media darling. And
Yeah.
then they weren't in the Big 12 then. You
Nope.
know what I'm saying? So
Nope.
then they had the not easily, but I'm saying then they had the, you know what I'm saying, play that I think they were the American conference then, but like nah. Fickle just he might have to ask AD for some more money. I mean, they spared him the rod, so he
Yeah.
might have to don't know to get this thing Wisconsin to back to like what you like how you envision being third or fourth in the Big Ten. You might have to ask your AD for some more money.
Yeah, it may be fourth or fifth because it looks like my man Kirk Cignetti is here to stay. And as we talked about last week, I'm gonna tell you this, man. Um, each week I like him more, right? It initially came off as arrogance, right? To me, but he's backing it up, right?
Yeah.
When the reporter said, "Well, you haven't won in Penn State," this team hasn't played in Penn State. Hey, perfect answer. Perfect answer, man.
He's got some great answers, man. I just being total transparent, man. There's no way anybody watching that could have kind of thought IU was gonna pull that out. You know what I'm saying?
It
Probably,
looked dire, man. It looked
yeah,
dire. Sure.
probably the greatest college football catch in the history of college football. I cannot,
Time-
I cannot think. I cannot. I know there's some great catches, man. But that was probably, you know
Well,
what I'm saying?
I'm a little biased personally because Isaiah Bond with the Gravedigger 2 years ago in the corner from Jalen Milroe against Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the game, deep in the corner, 4th and 35. But timing, right? The
Right.
timing in which he caught that pass yesterday. It looked bad for them. You're talking about an overwhelming favorite playing against a team who's definitely underachieved, fired their coach. You can't leave, Happy Valley with a loss,
There's
right?
something with DK. I had almost texted the group and was saying, man, there's something about when a black. I just been honest with you, man. When a black coach gets their first opportunity, they always had, and Penn State was coming off a bye. Well, now he had the team prepared, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they still got the Johnnies out there,
Yeah.
man, to
Talent.
win.
Yeah.
To win the games, man. Shoot, I would imagine some NFL scouts probably still out there looking at that defense, man. But the homie had his team very well prepared um, for whatever you believe about, and it is true statistically. IU is great against the run, man. They wasn't necessarily great against the run just yesterday, man. And Penn State in the second half, at least, you know what I'm saying, was able to answer some of the flame. You know what I'm saying? IU was able to put out there. You have to play a full game. That's one of the tantamount difference between the NFL game and the college game. College, I was gonna I think about Miami Dolphins when I was gonna say college kids sometimes check out too. College
Right.
kids, I think there's a more, you know what I'm saying, hot, you know what I'm saying. The college kids contract. We've seen Miami Hurricanes check out a game. We've seen the LSU check out a game. We've seen now IU check out a game because you didn't play a complete. I give the homie all the credence that he wants over at Penn State, and I get it. He had his team prepared. IU still got the better team.
Yeah.
Team. You know what I mean?
Collectively, as
so that Penn State should never had an opportunity to come back on it, but they did. You know what I'm saying? And they needed oh man, it would have been bad. He had some he's been ugly bad tape yesterday. You know what I'm saying, with turnovers when you talk about Mendoza. But like no, I mean, he had to pull some special kind of magic out of his ear. I almost said a bad word, out of his ear. And I think the worst they probably would have been if they had it lost with maybe 7. The Hoosiers, man. But they don't have to have to deal with that. But this should be an eye opener for them. It's not that anybody in front of them right now poses any kind of physical threat. It's from a player standpoint, like Penn State. I don't necessarily have IU. I don't know.
Can you stay focused? Can you stay focused, right? Can you finish what you started, right?
Success, they start hearing it, man. Yeah, you undefeated. Urban Meyer and you know what I'm saying, the Noonday Crew, like, you know what I'm saying, all that information gets back to them. Urban Meyer said, "Oh, NFL." Nobody has said NFL picks with the Hoosiers ever.
Yeah, you got your ones and twosies over the
guys
years.
have got drafted, right? Guys, I want to be clear because I don't want the faithful to come after me. Guys have got drafted, but like nobody has said, "Oh man," you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Any type of first rounder, like, hey man, this
We're
is
coming to Bloomington with 20 scouts to watch, you know, the Hoosiers play against Wisconsin, right? You've never heard that because of Indiana, maybe because of Wisconsin or whomever, but not because of Indiana. Good point.
But yeah, they're gonna they're hearing on this now, and because we just no media filter, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Even mid, you know what I'm saying, late night podcasts like Cross Time is chiming up about it, and that sometimes breed just a little bit of complacency and breed. Hey, now I'm here. I've kind of smelled the roses. Let me kind of check on out.
Yeah,
and you can't, if this is a championship, this is going to be a championship level team, and it is. They can't. Like I said, you can't check like Kurt breathes. This is, you know what I'm saying, on to the next game, and has a lot of stern things when it comes to like preparing and get, you know, and putting the last win in your rear view. This is what the team's gonna have to double down on if they want to get to where they want.
And you know where he cut his teeth, you know, Mr. Rat Poison himself, right? So that he brings some of that, right? You know, and he brings a little bit louder confidence than Nick does, right? Or did. But it's still, I think that level of confidence is infectious to your players. And those guys, I didn't see anybody dropping their head yesterday. I saw a lot of chatter in chat groups and whatnot saying they were done and all these things. But we look at the players, the quarterback Mendoza, he had a Joe Montana-esque drive against similar to against the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game. I want to say it was 82 or 83, something like that. Because he hit big passes, he threw dots, man, dots after dots, and those guys caught him, man. There was no bobbling, man. He put it on him, you know. So you know, a lot of kudos to, you know, I don't want to, you know, come off as biased towards Indiana, but I don't really care. It's our show, not somebody else's. It's okay, man, to give them some love because, as I said last week, for 20 plus years, people have been making hay on the Indiana Hoosiers. Kurt Signetti said, "Hold my beer."
Well, he seemingly figured out he and his people, it ain't just him, are good at breaking down film, breaking down game, knowing what guys can play their system. And if any of those guys are were underlooked at one point, like I said, he knows how to get the best out of it.
Yeah.
And like I said, man, he got the whole college football world looking at him, got the NFL kind of saying, "Oh," and shame on me, man. Before I didn't have time to see who we got coming in next year because again we don't even know what kind. Everybody just kind of says, "Oh man, he's got transfer from James Madison." Well, some of them guys are gone, man. He still got a few of them, but like a lot of this, and a lot of this is you know what I'm saying, what he's been able to pull in from a transfer standpoint from other places besides James Madison. But it's also some recruiting that he's been able to retain, man. So it's gonna be real interesting as they continue.
Yeah, so definitely for sure. But as we pivot on, similar situation, last night's game, you had LSU and Bama, right? You had a prior coach that got fired. African American coach came in, stood in. LSU fought, man. As I said at the beginning of the season, those guys got as much talent as anybody in the SEC. Their weakness was Brian Kelly and the quarterback play. And if you remember, we talked about this last week, and Brandon kind of tried to get me. He says, "Are you trying to soften the blow in case the Tide lose?" I said, "If Nussmeier plays and plays the whole game, Bama covers the spread." I said, "If the kid comes in from Mississippi State that can run and get out the pocket," I said, "I'm a little worried." I'm thankful that the coach didn't replace Nussmeier until late in the game, but it was a physical game. LSU stopped the run. They turned the ball over. Ty Simpson probably played his worst game of the season, in my view, even worse than the Florida State game. Why? Because he had guys that were wide open, and he missed them. The fumble missed, right? Misreading guys was open down the middle. He threw it to the flat for a drop, right? So you had your running back who I think Bama rushed for about 50 yards yesterday, man. They still can't get out of the way on the run. But I give credit to LSU, man, and those players who stood by. None of them transferred. And they all, of course, they said, "Hey, we want this guy coaching us." But let's be real here. He won't be the head coach of LSU Fighting Tigers next season.
No, he won't be. Ugly. You can call it ugly win. You just take it as a win. If you're Alabama, the homie didn't do too much damage. He'll still be. Ty Simpson will still be at the Heisman ceremony, man. You ain't got to worry about that. Man. I still think you'll get representation there, for sure. Think about the aftermath of what LSU is going to be, man. I know again, a lot of names kind of been bantered about. There's some who knows, who knows, man. That's all I can say, man. I don't necessarily think it's a slam dunk that Ole Miss goes after Lane Kiffin. I don't think they attach themselves with anybody that got fired from Penn State. You know what I mean? Or really, listen, anybody got fired. There's nothing. They're not. They're looking for some new, fresh tires on there.
You think they're looking for a homegrown blood, or you think they're looking nationally? Right. When I mean homegrown, someone who knows the landscape of the SEC. Right.
Part of me kind of feels that way. Part of me also says if there is a amicable split, and it's not a media, hey, we got rid of this guy.
Right.
Then Dabo Swinney might be somebody they contact. If it's an amicable thing. Dabo, you know what I'm saying, they won their game last night in the Forget Me Not Bowl versus Florida State. You know what I'm saying? They do when I woke up this morning, the homie he's still employed. Norvell is. So
how much longer though, man?
Again, man, you know what? I think the players that empower Florida State with the boosters that empower Florida State, they still like Norvell. They just believe that he's had a rough go of it. So look, I think that's some of the mentality down there, man. And they don't want to
believe. They don't want to believe. Telling me.
Yeah. Plus, they just think the mentality down there in Florida, again, when the folks I've interacted in that South Florida, man, they think they just a player away. All we got to get, this is all we got to, you know what I'm saying? They think that from Gators to FSU, we're talking about, to Miami, always is a player away. We're like, nah, you a little bit more. Your culture got to get better. Right? If one of the Florida schools wants to ever become a big time player back into college, they still are, you know what I'm saying? But like, when y'all gonna get the championship game, Florida? Any team, you know what I mean? So that the culture got to get better. So I think that's why they have a little bit more faith You know what I'm saying? They haven't pulled that trigger on Norvell. But I think Dabo, if it's an amicable split between him and Clemson, you know what I'm saying? Again, back in the audio days of Crossroads Fourth, man, when you know what I'm saying, the homies when you used to call in, I said, you know what I'm saying, when we kind of started this pulling teams. Well, the SEC might want to get Clemson. Well, that's kind of hard considering the TV contracts and actually Clemson. Do you really want to go and all that? If you can't do that, then you got to go get the coach.
Yeah,
and he might be a little bit longer in the tooth, but in his ways of thinking. But he ain't long tooth in the ways how he coaches.
Right. He coaches them up. The thing for me is, and you're talking about Norvell and Sweeney. I hit them both. Norvell, my challenge is this, right? I understand as a Florida State fan, you want to believe, but they were second in the transfer portal, only behind Miami this past season, right? And getting players. So all we heard about, and believe me, I heard about it for that next week after they beat the snot out of my boys. We went into the portal, we got grown men, and we've got players. Well, if you got grown men and grown players in week one, maybe those grown-ups put some depends on or something. Because they haven't come to play the rest of the season, right? So
yeah, you gotta have you can have grown men, but you gotta have culture guys, man. You gotta have guys built into culture, and this is why we are here. I think Texas Tech has that. Texas they got some grown up guys, and a lot of them guys is like they, you know what I'm saying, mid-20s, pushing 22, pushing 23. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the NFL didn't tell them anything good, or maybe they spent some time in Division II or whatever, and now they're at Texas Tech, you know what I'm saying, reaping the benefits, man. But that's kind of what's, you know what I'm saying, you still got to have your good culture where it's not about the NFL. It's about can the team move so that the more the scouts, the more attention we get. Can the team move? Not can I get you? See what I'm saying? So they have, I don't know, a lot of those teams that we're kind of speaking on, that they ain't got no culture. That's why they coach kind of got blasted away. So.
Fair enough. But the pivot to our boy Dabo, right? A few years ago he said some lightning rod type things about players, what he won't do, what he will do. Kind of was disingenuous towards some things. I think, and listen, if you've been at a place like Clemson as long as he has, won titles, you beat Big Bad Bama at their own game. Listen, there's a level of confidence and arrogance that you're going to have, right? And I think, when the NIL thing was just starting to hit, I think his arrogance got the best of him. I'm Dabo Sweeney, and I'm at Clemson. But what he didn't realize is these 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old young men, they make the decision, right? You don't make the decision anymore. And I think when the worm changed, when he talked about not getting transfer portal guys, I'm getting my own guys and develop. It's great. You got a good group of developed players. If this was 1991,
yep,
but it's not, right? So if I'm an LSU fan or a booster, and I've got some LSU fans on my page, they don't want Dabo Sweeney. They want someone that they can grow with, and they would prefer someone from the SEC neighborhood that has a level of understanding. But I don't know who that guy is.
You would want him on the homie thing, Jack Nicholson. You would want Dabo on that wall. I'm just telling you, man. You just tell Dabo, hey, man, the governor's running things now. He said you got to play these NIL players. We done stole from Colorado, or we done stole from Wisconsin, or we done stole from whatever. You're going to have to play them, Dabo. And then he had to just play whoever he plays, man. Part of his arrogance is that he didn't want to. He didn't want to. I get it from like, hey man, why would you? You know what I'm saying? You're looking at your somebody in your field. You know what I'm saying? That's how some people think that I'm stealing players from him, but the players are making themselves available, but you ain't stealing them, Dabo. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not messing up somebody else's culture.
If you remember, that's what Coach Knight did here in Bloomington. He didn't take transfer player for the longest, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, here comes Dean Garrett. Junior college, my bad.
At one point he did. That wasn't necessarily, that was a culture thing. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want you to be. I ain't taking anybody. Dr. Tom had up there in Iowa. What the heck are you talking about?
Right. But again, this is a 1991, man.
You have to change with times.
Yeah.
Plus another thing, I wanted to have everybody kind of on it. I'll ask Brandon a little later, man. I don't necessarily believe the ACC sets. I think they're still playing on a, you know what I'm saying, antiquated schedule for their
Yeah.
teams as well, where they're not necessarily setting up their team. I'm not
As a
saying
win.
for a team from the SEC to win the championship. You know what I'm saying? I think other conferences, you know what I'm saying, from a schedule standpoint, they look out for they look out for the conference. I'm not
Yeah.
saying teams like so again, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, they had in the last couple weeks they had to play a Murray's Road. You got to get, but this is SEC football that come with it. You
At
signed,
this stage, right?
you know what I mean? But yesterday, California comes all the way back east again and beats again, man. Last 3 weeks, man, they played some East Coast teams, man, and not fair as well. But now they come out here and play real spoiler and beat Louisville. That's disappointing. Who Louisville was ascending, right? Trying to make some playoff noise.
Everything to lose, man. Everything to
And
lose.
like I said, California he's not a trash quarterback, but he's a young guy. He's in, you know what I mean, whatever. But and again, I've been beating the, you know what I'm saying, because they got decent team, but not decent enough to come to Louisville. So that was a disappointment. Virginia, they showed they're real. So you against Wake Forest. So again, man, kind of took all some of their power players again in a down year with Miami, in a down year with Clemson, in a down year with FSU. You know what I'm saying? Did I leave anybody out? I guess Bill Belichick got a win yesterday.
I think you hit everything.
But
Look at
like,
you.
nah, and then again, Georgia Tech. I know, you know what I'm saying, a lot of folks were kind of, you know what I'm saying, they beat Prime early on. And that's the feather for them. And again, they kind of stayed undefeated till last week. But again, they didn't, you know what I'm saying, some of the strength of the team, you know, I didn't necessarily see them necessarily going undefeated until they played Georgia. So I don't necessarily know. ACC team, they have an automatic bid. Correct
Yeah.
me if the champion has an automatic bid, but it's turning out it's not gonna necessarily be a sexy champion coming out of that.
But here's the thing, right? It's a lower budget. It's a Temu version of the SEC, right? You got Tech. You got 5 teams at 5-1 in the conference right now in conference play, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech, Virginia, Pitt, and SMU. Then right behind it, you've got Duke, Louisville, and you got Miami at 3-2. The thing for them is they don't have the national cachet because Clemson isn't there.
Nope.
Miami isn't there. Florida State isn't there. So you talking. So that's why Tech dropped so far after they lost last week. People don't believe, right? But right now, if the season ended today, it'd be Tech and Virginia in the ACC title game. Right now, and that's not sexy, right? Because neither team has a football history of that type of winning, right?
Yeah, basketball.
Right, but that's what people want, right?
Yep.
But the real piece, but you've got to have this for a while, just like SEC basketball. 20 years ago, no one cared about SEC basketball. Now, man, you listen. Other than Florida,
When you
now
say,
you got
hey, you speak the truth, man, because anytime, as you said, Kentucky, don't get yourself
yeah,
in trouble.
yeah.
Don't get yourself in
You know what?
trouble.
Hey, Kentucky people come for me if they want to.
Yeah, unless you say Kentucky, but other than that, man, SEC team, and
Yeah.
then here yesterday, Alabama. Didn't they not beat St. John's
Yeah,
yesterday?
at
Yeah,
home,
at home.
in the greatest basketball arena. Don't get me started on that rat trap, man. But to that point, right? I just think the ACC is that lower tier, and people haven't seen enough of it to believe it, right? What they've got to do, Georgia Tech, Virginia, and Pitt, and SMU, they've got to continue to do it now. They've got to be the Clemson of the mid 2010s. Remember when Clemson came on board, and all of a sudden, whoa, they're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, they are really good. Then they beat Bama in the national title game. Then 3 years later, they lost to them. Then they beat them. Then they beat them again. So
they just needed not to, I didn't mean to cut you off. They just
No,
need
you
some
good.
type of they need some type of conference. The ACC does rebranding for sure, and they need to put their teams in like their own little instead of everybody being together, lumped together.
Yeah,
They need to
but you know what though, JB, we talked about these big conferences, and I always kid about the Big 18, right? I mean, these aren't conferences of our fathers, man. These are the new age deals, and as we're going towards, I believe, three super conferences. I think it's going to, because I think the ACC is going to blend some of that East Coast deal with it. I think not the MEAC.
too
You got
much.
the Big 12.
I wanna agree with you, but I'm gonna disagree with you because there's too many other factors and too many other people that think they got a say. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be a booster,
Yeah,
uh, we got governors now, man. Tomorrow we might have senators. You know what I'm saying?
and you know what?
Tomorrow you might have a mayor kind of say, "Hey, man, why are we doing that with the Pacers or whoever?" You know what I'm saying? I'm not not to talk no crap. You know what I'm saying around here with CIB, but um, I think there's too many other factors. The networks too, as well. They don't necessarily benefit from three conferences. Wait a minute, man. So like because
But
there's going to be at some point, I think, a little bit. Oh man, California's playing. Like, who really watched? Did anybody really watch Stanford and USC yesterday? I mean, I don't have the numbers from a Nielsen rating, or you know what I'm
yeah,
saying.
but
But anybody watch that? Nobody watch that. Nobody watch that.
to your
Nobody watch.
point, they were trying to push the USC mantra yesterday, and I was laughing. I was like, "Stop it! No one's taking USC as a national contender type team. Stop it."
No, not even
You
for
know,
the next two. Not even for the next two seasons, man.
yeah. But let
So
me ask you this though.
they got to make so from a network standpoint, from a TV product standpoint, they got to figure out how to. Again, there's money and talent flowing through some of these teams, but like we don't. The fandom doesn't want to see Stanford UNC. That's in not in November, January maybe, right? Late December, but not in October, November. Nobody wants to see that. Dude. It's not.
Let me ask you this though, right? As you talked about, the networks may not want that, but think about this: when Texas came to the SEC, no one thought that was going to happen. I remember the reports that there's no way that's going to happen. Texas and Oklahoma come to the SEC. No one. I remember the Pac-12 or the Pac-10, Pac-12 is strong. No way they'll do anything. Now you got USC and UCLA all the way across country. Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC. These are Big 12 staples, right? These are Big 12 staples who talking about roots in the ground,
They
roots
are
in the
already
ground.
technically, but see, they're already technically national brands. Technically, I told you earlier this week, man, Texas, you know what I'm saying, when they were going through their issues with the Big 12 because they wanted more money, they could technically leave. They could have went independent.
Yeah.
Straight face. I don't know why people think that's a joke. I don't know why people think Notre Dame being independent is a joke. Like Notre Dame holds
It's a smart move.
hold
They're printing money in South Bend, JB. They
yeah,
print money in South Bend. Why in the heck, if I'm a Notre Dame booster or why would I put myself in jeopardy? Because anywhere if they go to the Big 18, if they go to the SEC, or hell, even if they were absolute in the ACC, right?
yeah. All my enemies.
It would be a problem.
Yeah. They will from a money standpoint, it would make sense for them to go to the Big Ten. But like, yeah, all my enemies are here now. All my enemies, all my big games are here now. Any type of Ohio State, yes, that's a big game. But like
Michigan.
that's a network cut check. I got to cut with that. But meanwhile, if I stay independent, I got to cut nothing. When they can work out their own deal with Ohio State, they can. They can work out their own deal with Michigan, they do. They can work out their own deal with USC, they do. You know what I'm saying? So they don't. Notre Dame has put themselves in, and again, some people gonna check us too. Well, they ain't won national. They always in there. They always in the playoff. They always there.
They jumped a spot yesterday. Today, I mean, after thumping Navy, they jumped a
Well,
spot.
well, some of this power that they have as independent is probably the reason why they haven't necessarily this already haven't won this a trophy full of national championships. One, the other teams are trying, and
Right.
two, they only have a certain amount of talent pool that they can really kind of have, and everybody knows it's kind of that they have at their school. So Notre Dame still looks at college football as a student athlete. Yes, we're paying them, but they still look at it as a student athlete. You know what I'm saying? At least student athlete. Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? You gotta know football, play, you know what I'm saying, to play football at elite level to come to Notre Dame. But like, no, man, I like it. And then the same thing can be said technically about Texas, but I guess, you know what I'm saying, the brain trust there doesn't feel that they can but from the optics, from what I know, man, like Texas can put together their own schedule. I know I should be the AD, right? Texas put together their own schedule, and for me, it still would be littered with nothing but Big 12 and SEC teams. That's what it would be, because that is the foundation of their brand. That's the foundation of their big time winning, and they would still get to the playoff.
Right, and I would agree that to a point. But as we talked about, you know, flipping back to Notre Dame piece, Notre Dame's like they're like that young lady with all the options in the world. Why go there? You don't. I don't need. I've got my own place. I got my own car. I don't have any kids. I can come and go as I want. I don't need, you know, someone on my arm to take care of me and protect me. I've got everything I need. And you said it, I think maybe 5 years ago when we were talking about that. I was a caller, and you said Notre Dame's not going to a conference. And I was like, oh man, there's no way, they gotta go to a conference, because I was wanting them to go to a conference and be exposed, right? That was my bias. But as we've gone forward, man, I've subscribed to the Jonathan Birdsong way. I mean, it'd be a cold day in South Florida, man, in the middle of June, if for Notre Dame to go to a conference, and there's no need. So they won't be going to a conference. For those of y'all who want them to go to a conference, you heard it here. JB and DCOT said they're not going. So that's enough said. We don't need to debate it anymore.
I don't want to sit and say like Alabama couldn't go to a conference, man, but they feed off the brand of the SEC and being around
partnership. That's the deal. It's a partnership, right?
And being around some of their other sister schools. When LSU is good, Bama, the heat is on, but Bama's even better. When Tennessee is good, same thing. Bama's even better. We can go around, you know what I'm saying, the room. When Ole Miss, you know what I'm saying, Auburn, all these teams, you know what I'm saying, that so like they're king of the mountain. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying, it would be crazy for any of their rivals or those, you know, so people kind of, you know what I'm saying, chipping at them, you know what I'm saying, to kind of to leave or even think about leaving. So, like, nah, man. So yeah, there's Texas kind of coming over. I don't know. I look at it from a mixed bag, man. It's been good, it's not necessarily great for them. I just put like the Longhorns on a break this week. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got to necessarily talk about Arch. And me and D-Cod, though, I don't for sure. I'm not gonna bad about Arch.
Hey, he's coming, and that's a good segue. He's coming. And before
folks wanted him to laser. They wanted him to come out laser beam show like his uncles, man. And that's
a comparison. You know, the comparison is his counterpart who's in Cleveland right now as a backup, right? That was that lineage, you know, counterpart, right?
So people compare. You cannot compare Shedeur saying, "Oh, they should."
No, I'm talking about from a father player in the NFL. That's what I'm talking about, right? That was that comparison. But you know, it's a good segue though, right? A lot of chirping going on right now about that team in Boulder, man. And I'd be remiss if we didn't give at least 10 minutes to our prime time. So here, I'm gonna give you my perspective first, right?
There you go.
I said it back then. I said it when he got there. Deion Sanders should have kept his ass in Jackson, Mississippi. He had an opportunity to make an impact on people who cared for him and who looked like him. So these are facts. This isn't feeling. So next up, you leave there because I understand there was a money issue going on, and the HBCU doesn't have the money that Colorado does. Get it, but you're Deion Sanders. You didn't have to have the money. You had an opportunity to make an impact. Now let me flip to you. Boulder, Colorado, just to break down, 81% Caucasian, 1% African American. Your opportunity to make a difference. He talks about making a difference. He talks about young black men. He talks about that a lot, right? Young black men.
He does.
Great opportunity in Jackson State, Jackson, Mississippi, the poorest state in the union and the second least educated state in the union. An opportunity to make an impact by growth and development. And you chose to go to Colorado. Yeah, granted, they're going to give you more money. But now, as just a week ago today, believe me, the natives are restless when it comes to Deion and being there in Boulder. There was talk was here. Talk was here.
Yep.
Performance is here. It ain't matching, and believe me, they're pulling receipts from 3 years ago.
I really think he just misscouted some of his player personnel the last 2 seasons. Colorado does not necessarily have a big blind checkbook like some of these blue bloods that we pontificate about that kind of always are around the Alabamas and or Notre Dames of the world, but they got a checkbook.
Yeah,
they got cachet out there. Colorado, hey dude, you're playing in the right conference, man. So there's really no excuses there. You playing in the conference, a winnable conference. You know what I'm saying? For what they bring in. So what is the excuse? Like I said, I go back to excuse. I don't think one you recruited a quarterback and brought in 2 little vets or whatever, and you would have thought the freshman would have got some tick, and the player development isn't there. So again, this kind of caught in the weeds. Is Deion? I still think Deion's a good coach. Period. I don't want nobody kind of question the past 2 seasons as being poor, as that he's a poor coach.
Yeah, I don't think that either. I don't think he's. I just think from a personal perspective,
from a player personnel, they don't. I think they expect everybody to come in and be like, all right, do your thing. Listen to my ex. This ex coach that he's playing in the NFL and do what he says, and then do like a robot. It should go out there when there's a little bit more. There's more.
Right. The name isn't just enough for these 18, 19, and 20-year-olds to do what they need to do. You got to have a balance, right? You got to have a balance of the experience, as we talked about our an old soul, right?
Hold on, the experience, just because you went out there and ran it up at Tulane, or just because you went out there and ran it up, wherever Deion then pulled you from, like you still technically in learning, like the NFL didn't want you. Yeah. And you didn't want the UFL, you didn't want that UFL contract, and then or whatever, or maybe you were flame out from one of these schools, whatever. But again, you have to have. I go back to the culture piece. You gotta, everybody in the room gotta,
nice mix.
Yeah, you gotta have a nice mix. Everybody can't be thinking about, how can I get to the next level?
And what triggered this was somebody sent me this 16 and 19 over the last 3 years. 1 winning season, 0-1 in bowl games, 2-8 versus ranked opponents, never ranked higher than 16th in the AP poll, right? Remember when they beat TCU coming off the national title game and they lost their whole team, right? I'm coming. Listen, I love Deion Sanders, and people say, "Oh, you're a hater of Deion." No. I'll say it again. My middle son is named after Deion Sanders. I love him that much, right? But with that said, you've got to own it, right? You got to be real to it, and if he doesn't make changes. I mean, to your point, JB, from that coaching staff and a process orientation of where he does now to changing something, what they say, if the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Something's got to get shook up in Boulder, Colorado. The natives are restless, and if he has another 3-win season, it's going to get real ugly for him. If he has another 3-win season next year, and he does not change anything from a coaching perspective,
you got to fire Buddy or something, man.
Which one? Who do you think? I don't
know. I don't want to put it out there. You got to fire a friend, man. That's probably what's going to happen.
So, do you know who's on the coaching staff? I mean, I'm not saying who he's going to fire, but can you give me some names on the coaching staff?
The one guy you played for Tampa Bay. Yeah, Warren Sapp. I think Warren Sapp's still defensive coordinator.
And I think he's a defensive line coach, isn't he? Maybe.
Well, whatever, man. They ain't
defensive. Still there?
Who's it now? Doug?
Falk.
Marshall Falk. Oh, yeah, Marshall Falk is still running backs coach, man. So you have dude, I get it, man. Marshall Falk, you know what I'm saying? If I was playing football and Marshall Falk, you know what I'm saying, if it was my coach, man, yeah, I try to run through the wall for Marshall Falk, man. But if you know what Marshall Falk is and it's about, but like I don't know, man. You can
Kids
have
wasn't born. Kids wasn't born when Marshall Falk was playing
well,
though.
and that's two, right? Two is, do they have a Marshall Falk on the team? Do they got a Dion on the team?
Yeah.
Do they got a Warren Sapp on the team? And if the answer is no to any three of those things, then all you got is a coach who's trying to make, you know what I'm saying, a molehill, you know what I'm saying, a Hall of Famer. I mean, it's not going to happen.
I think it's one of those things, JB. You know how you've seen this. When I was your age, I did this, and I could just hear in that locker room or in those position meetings. When I was playing, I played on a torn ACL for 5 plays, and
Yeah.
I think there's some young men that are really in awe about that, and some like, man, I don't want to hear that stuff. I want to hear the right now. Where's my NIL check, right? And I think, unfortunately, you've got a lot of guys on that staff that are in the mindset like Dion, right? It's okay to have different mindsets on your staff. The whole goal is one, right? To win. It doesn't matter how you win, but it's different ways of going about it, right? Bring in a couple young guys, bring in some veteran guys. How about bringing people you don't know, right? And say, you know what? But I know that guy can coach.
Yep.
You know, and that's a little tough, man, because I want Dion to have success, right? But I'm not going to sit here and fawn after Dion after he goes 2-1 and says I'm coming. I'm not going to do that. It's not the right thing. There's enough good coaches in college football that you don't have to fawn over a guy until he starts doing something.
Yeah, you better start targeting at that O-line, defensive line.
That's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough because I wouldn't be surprised if that portal is going to be heavy coming out of Boulder this winter. It would not surprise me.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. Any other topics you want to hit on? I know we hit on some high energy topics that we've been talking about for weeks. We hit the Dion, with the SEC.
No, I know, you know what I'm saying, just tapping a little bit more Big 12. My homies, Sonny Dykes, they took an L against Iowa State. So, you know what I'm saying, Sonny's probably going to come back to Tech Christian next year. He probably ain't going to get no look at the Florida job or anywhere else, man.
Is he happy there, though? I mean, it seemed like he's just happy there, man.
He seems like he's happy there, man. There's really like no super pressure to win the Big 12 championship for him, even coming after Dr. Hill's a beat. Like once you, but like, hey, man, he got feathers in his cap, man. He goes into in them rooms where they be having, you know, catered food and whatnot, and then bragging rights, man. Yeah, I beat Bill Belichick. Yeah, I beat Jim Harbaugh, man. Like so, he got some, you know, some job. You know, what I'm saying. He got some job,
security.
He got job security, man, because like he got, they probably put big money when they beat Michigan. I mean, one big money, man. So like and then Texas Tech, BYU, like they went in there and they defensively they just took BYU out of it. There was a whole lot of hype. Again, kids hear a lot of these things. Bear Brockmeyer is maybe one day we'll see on the NFL screen, but right now you still are learning on the curve, you know what I'm saying, quarterback, and Texas Tech just took them all out of it. Took everything away from offensively away from BYU yesterday. You know what I'm saying?
Wasn't close, man. It wasn't close, JB. The score was not indicative of the game, man. Tech beat them in all phases, and that scared me because I've been talking about, A&M, Ohio State, Bama, Ole Miss in that vein, right?
Mm-hmm.
Indiana, of course, as well too. Man, I slid Texas Tech in that round after yesterday's game because BYU is a tough team. They're a West Coast Iowa with a little bit more offensive punch, similar defensive punch, and they took them out yesterday, man. Yeah, they were at home, but the fans ain't help you play though.
I would wish they had a quarterback like Bear Brockmeyer.
That's my point. That's what I'm saying.
They probably would have beat Oregon. How the heck you lose? Man, Oregon, I was mad for him. I was pissed off for him. I ain't no Iowa fan. I was like,
Oregon. Oregon's not Oregon.
Huh?
Oregon's not Oregon. Their hype is bigger prowess than their capabilities. And I would not be surprised if they're one and done if in fact they make the playoffs. And I think they probably will.
There's a lot of people thinking that they're not gonna make it. I'm not necessarily one of them, man, because when Dan Lanning got that headset and he click it, that means we need that means something's coming. Hey man, I'm not gonna shade him, man. That was a good gritty win for them yesterday. That's just something. That's just, you know what I'm saying. I think people kind of wanted more of a laser show, and not necessarily something where a kicker had to come out there and save the day. But like, yeah, I don't necessarily think Oregon, the Ducks. I won't count them out. But as they level up even more opponents, man, you know what I'm saying, you might have to, you know what I'm saying, go the other way.
Here's your top five in the bracket after week 10. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Alabama, Georgia. Any problem with that top five?
Ohio State, Indiana,
A&M, Alabama, Georgia. Then you got Ole Miss. BYU is going to drop because they were 7th, and Texas Tech was 8. So I would imagine Texas Tech is going to probably want to being 7th, and I wouldn't be surprised if BYU falls out of the top 12. I think it's posted. I just don't have it.
When I sent in, me and Brandon Reef do a Crossroads Sports top 10. I think I still had BYU in the top 10.
Really?
I still had them in 10th.
Okay.
I don't jettison teams that's in the top 10 unless they were like 9th or 10th. You know what I'm saying? You playing a ranked opponent or whatever. You know, so technically, man, IU playing an unranked opponent, like, man, in the old BCS system, that was a pull down. You know what I'm saying? You had a hard time against Penn State, man. But like, nah, I don't have no problem with that top 5 at all, man. The top 5 teams, once we get to that point and they hook them up, like, it's going to be real fascinating. Fascinating to see Texas Tech play a Georgia, or Georgia play Ohio State, or a Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying? Play anybody that they had, like, besides Texas A&M. You know what I'm saying? But like, again, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be real because these teams are. A lot of these teams, those top 5 teams, I would say, are playing the best football, except for some of the sloppiness of Georgia. But some of that top team, they're playing some of the best football of their season, for sure.
Yeah, I think 6 teams, maybe 7 can win it, right? I think those top 5 can. I think Ole Miss gets hot; they can do it. And also, I'm adding now Texas Tech. I didn't have them added before.
I don't even know who from the Power 4 gonna make it. D-Cobb, we talk so much Power 5.
Florida, man. South Florida.
Memphis laid an egg. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a Foghorn Leghorn kind of egg either, man. Well, maybe it was. Now I think about Foghorn. If Foghorn Leghorn laid an egg, it's the trouble. It's the trick to it. You know what I'm saying? But Memphis out there laid an egg. It's not necessarily a way that you know what I'm saying, for them to. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna
tell you this. I got to give props to my guy, Ojinga Carr, who's down in Memphis, right? So we were chatting up a little bit. I said, man, Memphis has got a highway to heaven. I said, they got Tulane this weekend. And he stopped me. He said, you don't know, man. They struggle with Tulane. This is the type of game they're going to struggle with. And guess who pinged me about mid-second quarter? He says, see what I mean? But yeah, but you know, you have all this momentum going. And all it takes is, and especially when you're, you know, a Power 4, all it takes is one loss on your home field for no one to talk about you again until next year. So now it's South Florida. I think South Florida is there unless Navy continues to win out. Granted, they got thumped by Notre Dame. Navy wins out. They do have Memphis at the end of the season.
Hey, man, before we get off, man, I know we kind of ran the band about who's Heisman. I know the homie Love from
Notre Dame.
Yeah, from
Notre Dame.
He probably won't be, man. I looked at his stats, man. He don't have enough rushing yards to be considered. He's slightly under. He's slightly under 900 right now, and that ain't enough. You think about some of the dynamic running backs that's won the Heisman. I think Barry Sanders had like 30 touchdowns.
But also 2,300 yards rushing too, man.
So like, man,
Ricky Williams 1,900.
In order for Love, you know what I'm saying, to get there, man, he's gonna have to, you know what I'm saying, when they got like three more games left, I think, man, he had to double his, he had to get at least 4 touchdowns a game.
Yeah.
He'd have to turn it up for sure, man. But like, nah, man, like, nah, Outside of that, man, what y'all got going on this week at the Game Time podcast?
Well, today we had Josh Jones on, assistant coach, North Dakota State University. Great interview, man. We were talking off air. We do that, right? Man, me and Josh Jones know all the same people, man. Not only did he go to Warren Central, I'm talking about my old neighborhood, man. We started naming names. I said, how did I miss you? Well, because I'm a little older than you. That's why. But no, it was good there. We got a surprise coming wins. We've been trying to pull somebody. We've kind of ran into a little bit of a stall, but we do have a backup. I think that backup, will put some smiles on some people's faces. We're trying to, go into the year, right? Because we got some other things going on as well. Mm-hmm. But this right now, we don't have a guest set for this coming Sunday. But we're working diligently to try to get that done and get it announced by Wednesday, no later than Thursday, as a backup. I think the backup in this case would probably be better than who we initially are looking at. But again, that's a good guess as well. But we're trying to keep it going, man. Nothing else special other than that. We've got some episodes. We're gonna have individual episodes. We got Isaiah's got his overnight deal. I've got my Cots Corner when I was going on my rampage about the Pacer fans knocking my man Miles Turner. I'm not gonna go down that path again. I've done it. I'm moving on, right? So we're gonna have a Cots Corner episode once a week, and there'll just be something that we spitballing about, kind of some things that are hot button topics for the sports world.
Well, basketball is heating up.
Yeah, man.
And you know what I'm saying? I know both our platforms are gonna be kind of talking about that either from a collegiate level and definitely from an NBA standpoint. Me and Brandon was boots on the ground yesterday.
I like that. I need to get. I want to say I want in.
You gotta talk to some people, man. We was boots on the ground versus IU Indy. 30-point win. 30-point win. It's not the chuckle, man. Great 30-point win in front of a good crowd. Good. I mean, of course, Hinkle favorite, Bulldog heavy, but there was some Jaguar fandom linked, throughout Hinkle, man. Saying 30-point win, and you say, man, that must have been a boring game, man. Every possession, man, the IU Indy guys was in it. The great thing about basketball for me is that, man, every play does count. And like the homie Ben Howland, he's swapping 4 out, 5 out. You know what I'm saying? He let everybody play because he has faith and confidence in all his players and in his system and whatnot. But like you gotta get, those small, what they call them, 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
Like getting the rebound or getting tipped. They would get their hand on the ball, tip it, but like Butler would get the rebound and it'd be, it'd be another position for Butler. They would get a deflect out, and then wouldn't come up with the ball. So Butler, IU would get a deflect out, but not get the full steal.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And then, so they were just right there. And then, but like you have so many right there moments, like you'll end up losing by 30, man. But like it was still gritty. Like they were in it. You know what I'm saying?
They're fighting.
And like fighting, yeah. And when we talk about lost by 30, man, Butler scored 112 points, and like IU Indy scored over 80, man. So it might be somewhat a level layers of competition as well, man. But I wouldn't necessarily expect, when we looked at some of the the preseason programming, man, they got Butler. Not Jonathan Burson, because I know better. They got Butler finishing bottom tier of the Big East, and they got IU ending finishing second to last, and I don't think that's not going to happen. Okay. From what I saw yesterday, and from what I
like you said, boots on the ground. You just said it. A lot of us are prognosticated looking at what somebody else wrote.
Yeah, the Big East is a monster. It is. The Horizon League is a one. You know what I'm saying? You got to win your conference to get in. So it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to manage as well. But those teams would not finish last in there. They will not.
Okay. Good deal, man. I definitely appreciate you. You guys got anything going on this week? Anything special?
Just normal sports talk, man. You know what I'm saying? Between me and Brandon Reef, we don't have a special guest on to the 18th. Like I said, the homie Kellen Dunham is gonna come tap in. Speaking of Butler, he's gonna tap in with us on the 18th for a special little interview about his time and tenure there. But other than that, man, just some little random, you know what I'm saying? Not random, but our more the standard little show that kind of comes on Wednesday, you know what I'm saying?
Spitballing. Nothing wrong with spitballing, man.
No,
Sometimes that's
no
good.
puppets.
Hey, you got to bring him out, after next week. Listen, Bama's got Oklahoma next week. 2 weeks after they got off.
That's gonna be a tough one, man.
Believe me, we can talk about that through the chat. I'm telling you, it's gonna be real tough. But you got to bring bro out, man. You got to bring him out, man. He's been missing for about 6 weeks now, right?
Man, Jimmy, man. Cash Patel came up here with the NBA, man. We ain't seen bro since, man. So I don't know. There might be a connection. If you catch
All
my
right, we'll see what happens, man. But no, good stuff again as usual, man. Good recap of the college game that we love. We love watching those games yesterday, and this coming week won't disappoint us at all either.
Right, sounds good, man. Well,
all right, we're out of here. Everybody, be safe, be careful, take care of yourselves.
Thanks for watching.